Setting up for Facebook Live.
So I think we're live, Nicola.
I think
We are live.
Here we go.
Wow.
Correcting. We are now doing it.
That's awesome. So good evening, everybody. My name is Lynn Weems. I'm coming to you from a different kind of better clinic in London, Ontario, Canada, because I know we're going to have a lot of Australian people viewing this at a later date. So who am I? I'm Lynn Weems. I'm a natural healthcare practitioner that's been doing this for over 20 years. Before that, worked in a lot of different fields in Western medicine. And our clinic is me and a family physician, Dr. Tom, and what we do is we work with what we call a digital information analysis system. So we work with a lot of very complex digital equipment in our clinic, but we believe, or I personally believe, in all types of vibrational and energy type healing that's out on the market. Our goal under a different kind of better is to bring together all the different kinds of natural healthcare practitioners and physicians that are practicing very different modalities of healing, and realize that we can work together and not be in competition, and that every modality has the opportunity to bring a certain skill to the table, and we can all help get that message out to the world. So our platform, I beg you to take a look at it, differentkindofbetter.com. It gives you an opportunity to have a membership as a practitioner from anywhere from $20 to $10 a month to being an expert panelist, right? And just so you know, the expert panelist membership is on for 50% off until the end of August, as we grow our platform and bring in as many healthcare practitioners or wellness practitioners that we can that want to get the strong message out to the world. So today I get the honor of interviewing Nicola Rodriguez from down under Australia. And Nicola is what is called an emotion code practitioner. And when Nicola told me what she was doing to help people, I was so impressed. But I have to be honest, I've been watching Nicola for probably about 3 to 4 years now, as she has grown in her journey as a practitioner, and she's watched me growing in my journey as well. And I am just so excited to be able to ask her some questions so that the world can learn about what it is she has to offer people and what she can do to actually help many, many people out there. So Nicola, thank you so much for agreeing to let me interview you. And we appreciate what you're about to bring to us tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here. I have been following your journey and I absolutely love it. I love seeing how many people around the world are starting to look at alternatives, that there are different ways that our bodies can heal and can heal naturally. And it's amazing to see all these modalities coming together, not competing, like you said, but coming together to really make a complete difference. So very excited to be here.
Yeah, and I can tell you the excitement in me is growing every week as I start interviewing more and more practitioners. And I just find that even as a practitioner, we can always learn more. Wouldn't you agree that there's, you know,
well, every day.
Yeah. So Nicola, let's get started. Let's show the people what you have. So maybe you can just tell us, what is an emotional code practitioner?
Okay, so on the lines of energy healing, it is in the lines of energy healing. So just like you, the chair we're sitting on, the computer everybody's watching on, whatever they're doing, we're all made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And it just depends on those energies actually blending together to create something in a physical form. So back in 2007, Dr. Bradley Nelson, he created what was called the emotion code. And he first published it as the book and then started teaching others like myself how to become a practitioner. And it wasn't until 2017 that I actually heard about this modality. It was completely new to me. And I found out through one of my millionaire mentors who was having a talk to us about if you're just doing everything that you need to be doing, but you're not breaking through, you could have some emotional blockages that are stopping you, some self-beliefs that you consciously don't even know you have, right? And I thought to myself, that's what it is. It's got to be something like that, because I'm doing everything right, but I just didn't seem to be breaking through in the business stuff that I wanted to do. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a go, and what's the harm? We can just see what happens. And the thing that was amazing was that I actually had a proxy session first, which was done without me being there. And the second session I had done just like this in a video call. And it was amazing because we were technically working on my blockages towards money. And I had the self-belief since I was a little tiny girl that we didn't need money to make the world work. And that, the bartering system worked so well back in the days. Why are we now living in a world where we can't utilize that So because of those self-beliefs, and they were actually core self-beliefs, so they were inbuilt in my program. And once we'd gone through and removed those, I actually had two other, hindrances, physical hindrances that I had. I had one that I'd suffered for over 30 years. I mean, the local hospital knew me by name. I could rock up an emergency and there'd be, 30, 40 people waiting, and they'd just take me in and give me a bed because I was there so regularly for the pains that I used to get in my head, and no one could explain it. I had nothing in the medical field could actually help me or explain why I was getting these pains. And it was really interesting because after I had my session and released some trapped emotions, I actually have never had those pains in my life ever again. And then I also had an issue with my shoulder, that I'd been getting needles, cortisone shots in my shoulder because the pain was so bad. And after that session, I never had that pain in my shoulder ever again. So it got me thinking, and I thought, wow, if I was actually just releasing trapped emotions around money and I had two physical things happen to me that cleared up, imagine what else you could do if you were actually targeting those things. So I started doing my research, and I found that it was definitely something that I wanted to get into. So I took the step and became a practitioner myself, and have just loved the journey ever since. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting because it's true. A lot of the times we tend to focus on the other things in life that we seem to be driven by, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, like money, material things, but we don't realize that traumas, it's more than just mind, right?
100%.
We definitely, in the Western medicine field, we tend to look at, sometimes there's labels such as psychosomatic disorders, right? And we know that those pains are actually real pains to that person.
Yeah.
What they're feeling is real, right? And, I know when I worked in that field, and I didn't know anything else, right? You don't know what you don't know. I always tended to believe that, wow, this is really incredible that they are having these pains and they're real, but they're labeled as psychosomatic. And I always questioned that, right? It was, yeah. Is that real, or is it something that they just haven't done the right test that actually has given them the opportunity to actually have that label or that diagnosis, right? So we always thought, even if I wasn't a healthcare practitioner or working in the healthcare field, I always believed that we can create certain disorders in our body.
Oh, very much so.
Right. Yeah. But I know that a lot of people don't believe that, right?
Exactly, 100%. And I learned that myself at an early age, being so driven to have children. And I created myself, a whole heap of phantom pregnancies where my body showed that I was pregnant and would go through the whole symptom of being pregnant, but I physically was not pregnant. So if you believe something, or you've gone through a trauma so it does. It affects your physical being, not just the mental.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also affects how we heal.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. You know, my sister would be a perfect example of that. She was diagnosed with lymphoma many, many years ago. And I believe, like, I definitely helped her with that, with the knowledge that I have. However, I also believe that a big part of that was that she believed she would be healed. Right.
Yeah.
And so she went into remission and didn't have any problems for 15 years. Now, the problem is that sometimes when we do things to help ourselves, we also have a tendency sometime later to fall back into those old lifestyle patterns, right? Unless we keep that up. So yeah, I definitely believe it. So Nicola, how long is a session? What is an example of and is a session the right word? Is that what you actually call them?
Yeah,
Or?
I call them sessions because it's not just a matter of, you know, doing sort of like a hands-on thing. That's what I like about it the most, is that it can be worldwide, and we can do it through a video call like this. We can do it, you know, over the phone. We can even do it by proxy where you don't even need to be there. So I think doing it through video or in person is great because it gives the other person an opportunity to respond when we find things through the body. But a session normally lasts an hour. Your body needs to process. So sometimes our body, if we're already on a healing journey and we've taught our body that, you know, this is what we're doing, it's our body can cope with pulling out some extra emotions. But on average, this person who hasn't really started their healing journey, is just starting into it, we can get between 8 to 12 trapped emotions out within that hour. Somebody who's on a healing journey and is doing like a monthly program where we're doing healing every week, we can get up to, you know, 15 to 30 energies out in an hour. So it depends on the person's body and how much their body needs to heal.
Now, in your opinion, do they need to believe that this is going to work in order for it to work? Is intention a part of it?
Intention is huge. It is exactly the same as like the placebo tablets, you know, like, oh, if I take some Panadol, my headache's going to go away. But if you don't believe it, well, then it's not going to go away. It's the same thing with this, exactly the same thing. Having intention is massive. That's what shifts energy. We can create, like you said, creating illnesses. We do that by intention, right? So it's all about thought. So if you can think that you're sick, you're going to create that sickness. If you think you can heal, you're going to be able to help that healing process as well. So intention is definitely, and it's one of the things that I use to help remove the trapped emotions. So instead of just removing them, we actually replace, because just like losing your house keys or losing weight, you seem to find it again, right? So instead of losing it, we're going to replace it. So we might replace a trapped emotion of grief with something like love, some balance, some joy, or some connection, things like that. So I let my clients pick 3 words that they want more of in their life, and we actually replace the emotion with those things.
Okay, so is it like using affirmations?
Similar to affirmations, but we're just basically letting the body know that you're not losing something. We're not taking something away from you where we're going to create a hole. We're actually going to take this horrible thing away and fill it up with wonderful things that you want more of in your life. And then that way your body goes, oh, well, I like that. I'm happy to take on the good stuff. So I'm more than happy to give you all the bad things. And so it's quite interesting. But intention is definitely one of the biggest tools that I use. We also use the governing meridian, which, you know, chiropractors use, and a lot of other modalities use it as well, because it runs from your nose all the way down your spine. So that's there is your system for your body. So we use that as well. And we use magnets to be able to magnify the intentions. So the way we find the actual emotions is by asking questions of the subconscious, but we use muscle testing. So there's lots of modalities that use muscle testing as well, right? So kinesiology is a big one. They use a lot of muscle testing. Yeah, so muscle testing isn't new. It's definitely something that's used worldwide, and you can do some amazing things once you've practiced your muscle testing and you've got your baseline. That the knowledge that you can have is incredible.
Yes, and the other thing too is it's non-invasive. I'm big believer in using modalities that are as non-invasive as possible, because, creating a trauma to help a trauma,
Yeah.
it sometimes just doesn't seem like it makes sense to me. Right.
And that's like talk therapy, right? When you go in and you talk therapy, and it's just, they ask you questions, and you've got to bring all that trauma and all that emotion to the surface, but you're just talking about it. And then you might feel good for, maybe the rest of the day after you leave the building because you've spoken about it. But the next day you're back into the same patterns, you're back into the same feelings. It doesn't actually go away because you just constantly bring it to the surface. Whereas this, we bring it to the surface and we say bye-bye and replace it with some great stuff.
Yeah, I that was actually going to be my next question. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because, in past experience, I've had a fairly traumatic childhood and life, and I don't mind sharing that because a lot of people have. And I always found that, when people were trying to bring that out of me, you're right. You get this temporary relief. You feel like, okay, I've discussed it. I've gotten it off my shoulders. And I always found that I don't want to keep reliving that, because I believe that we need to stay in the present, right? That if we focus too much on the past, however, if it's a trauma that has created some medical condition, I do believe that you need help in some sense, right? So
100%. And the mind forgets things. You got to remember that look at the things we learn every day. We are learning thousands of things a day, and it's from being repetitive. Like, when we were crawling to walk, how we would eat with knives and forks. They're not things that we think about doing as adults because they're inbuilt into our system. And so our mind forgets, but our body remembers. So when we do experience some traumas, our mind will actually delete that file so that we don't have to remember or relive the story. The problem is the body doesn't forget.
The body doesn't. Yeah. I've read lots of articles on cell memory.
Yes.
Right. So I definitely believe that is a possibility. And I mean, you could read about this kind of thing, but I think it's good to have an awareness of that as a fact. I mean, I knew a homeopath that for years used to say that he believed that genetically you could pass memories on through
we find that as well.
Generations. And, he would give me examples that would just wow me. It's like, well, there must be some truth to this, because that makes absolute sense to me.
And that does happen. We do find that. So not only can you trap emotions that you've experienced yourself, I actually can find emotions that have been inherited through your family. Because it's like a little protection file. That emotion that they trapped, or that heart wall that they created, was to protect them in a situation that they were in. And so when they go to, have children, they pass that file down as a safety mechanism. But the problem is that look how far our generations have come. Look how far our lifestyles have changed from even 20 years ago, let alone 50 years ago. So those files that protected that person back then aren't protecting us now. They're actually hindering us now. And we don't know why we behave that way, or why we react that way, or why we, have a reaction to a certain food or things like that. And it's a lot of the times comes down to inherited emotions.
Mm-hmm. And, it's funny because we do, as I said, we do digital analysis. And what I love to see is when we do this, what comes up, and people will say, oh my gosh, how does it know that? How is it picking those things up? Well, we have come a long way. Like quantum physics is just such a complex thing, right? But it's all part of measuring energy, right? And we are more, I keep saying this, we are more than just flesh and blood. Right.
100%. If you actually magnify your hand, like you took a picture of your hand right now and you put it up on, on a piece of paper, you'd know which one your hand is. But if you started magnifying that, you turn into, cells, and then you magnify that even more. You're just little balls of energy flying around.
Atoms and
exactly. Yep.
And a lot of people don't actually become aware of this. And I think it's, you know, and I don't know why that is. I think we're just, you know, we're raised to believe we have a problem, we go to a doctor, we get a prescription. And I'm not knocking doctors, because I'll tell you, I see doctors saving lives every single day.
100%, fully agree. Yeah.
But I do believe that we need to look after the body as a whole. And if we're not keeping our energetic system balanced, our vibrations, if we're not looking after that as well, how can we keep our organs healthy? How can we keep ourselves healthy? We can give them all the nutrition in the world, but if we don't believe that we're going to improve or we're going to get better, it's taking a part of that puzzle out, right? It's like doing that whole jigsaw puzzle and having that one piece missing at the end, right? Yeah. We need to find that one piece that's missing and be able to help them. And so people like you and me, when we see somebody, they've run the gamut, right? They had all these tests, you know, they start looking at alternative last. And I wish that would change. And I think sometimes that has a lot to do with affordability. You know, in your experience, your modality, what you're doing now, is it an affordable thing for people? How does that work for them?
For sure. All practitioners have all their own different fees and charges. I mean, there are 5,000 practitioners over 78 countries. So we are worldwide, and, you know, everybody has their own little special sauce as well. You know, they might have an extra little modality that they mix into it as well. Here in Australia, we've got less than 40 practitioners. There is not very many here. So it is still a very unknown modality here in Australia, but hopefully we can change that. But it's definitely affordable. I think just like going to a chiropractor, just like going to massage and everywhere else, if you go and have one session, you feel good. You feel good after you leave. You feel great. But if you actually really want to make a big change and a big difference, I would recommend, you know, 4 sessions throughout the month, just, you know, 1 session a week for a month. But if you know, depends on how deep you want to go, because some people actually want to go further once they notice the changes that they're having in their life, whether it be the physical changes or the emotional changes. They do sometimes want to take it further. So for a single package here in Australia, I charge $147 an hour. And then I do a package of 8 sessions over a month, which is $9.97. So those 8, we don't just pull out trapped emotions. We actually do some healing sessions in the conscious as well. Because like you said, we can pull out all the emotions from inside your subconscious, but we now need to train your conscious mind, some new little routines and some new little thoughts. So those packages are really good to get nice and deep and be able to change your life.
Yeah. And you know what, when you've grown up in a negative environment, especially, right, we tend to learn those patterns. We tend to learn how to think negatively. We tend to learn if we've been in a lot of anger. We tend to learn those patterns, right? And so I think we have to unlearn them. And learning how to think positively. And it's more than just positive thinking, because we have to learn how to think positively. And that's not something that just happens in an instant. That's something that happens over time, right?
It's amazing to see how many people don't actually love themselves wholly. I mean, they sort of run around seeking that from outside sources. And to get somebody to look in the mirror and look in their eyes and give them a couple of affirmations, to, you know, it's really hard for some of those people. But once they start practicing, the changes that they see in that mirror is just phenomenal.
Yeah. So that's another thing, willingness, right? It's not just about going, it's about willingness to do what is needed to get to where you want to get as well, right? So I think this has been good in saying that this is what we need to do, right? And it's more than just the visit. It's more than just the session with people.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. And a lot of people don't know what to expect on that first session. And like I say to them, the best part is you don't have to do anything. You get to sit there and relax. And if the body wants you to know about a certain emotion that's being trapped, maybe it's something you've forgotten about, it will say that it wants you to know what that event was, just so you can acknowledge it and move on from it. So, because like I said, the mind shuts off so much.
Yeah, yeah.
But the best thing is that some people freak out and think, oh my gosh, she's going into my subconscious. She's going to find out all my secrets. And I have to say to them, no, we don't find out your deep, dark secrets. That doesn't happen that way. We help heal your body and your emotions. We don't actually go into your deep, dark secrets. So you can keep the deep, dark secrets if you like, or you can learn to release those as well.
So it's not like hypnosis, right?
No, definitely not.
You're in total control all the time.
Right? Total control. And the body is only going to release what it's ready for. I can go in and specifically, if you've got a sore shoulder and like, really bad shoulder, say, the pain is just incredible, we can target that particular area. So we can actually ask the body, is there any trapped emotions that are causing the pain in the shoulder? And we can get somebody down from a pain level of 9, 10, right down to a 2 in one session. But the thing is that sometimes there are a few more. If your body isn't ready to release all of it, it's only going to let you release enough. And just like they say when you're at the chiro or massage, they tell you to go for a walk afterwards, right?
Right.
The secret of that going for a walk is to actually shift the energy through your body instead of going and sitting back in a rigid position. So it's the same for this. Once we move those energies, I recommend my clients just to walk around for a little bit and let those energies shift and let the body process.
It's amazing. So Nicola, I think this has been wonderful that you explain things so well, and I'm hoping that a lot of people get some benefit out of this interview tonight. So if somebody is interested in getting hold of you to have a session with you, how do they go about doing that?
Well, the best part about being online is there's multiple ways, right? So here in Australia, I have people who can contact me personally or by phone. Online, you can contact through the website, through the platform that we're running through. Also through Facebook as well, under Nicola Rodriguez, Noninvasive Remedies. And you can just send me a message and we can just have a chat. So you don't need to know what you want to heal. If you just need to know that there's some things you want to move on from.
So what we can actually probably do is put your phone number, your contacts down in the comments once it gets posted on Facebook. That will, help people that didn't have a chance to write all that down.
Yeah, we'll share that information. No worries.
So one quick 30-second thing before we leave, what kinds of things do you think this would help the most?
Okay, so physical pain is a big one. There's a lot of people who are out there suffering from physical pain and they don't realize that it's actually caused by emotions. The physical pain is the last resort of the body to give you that notification to say, I need some help. So physical pain is a big one. It doesn't matter where that pain is in the body. That's a really good one to hit. Being anxious as well, having that anxiety and that anxious, that's really hard for a lot of people to go through life, let alone leave the house.
I'll give you a call as soon as we're done.
So it's good to see that. I've had a client who actually couldn't leave the house basically, and after a session she actually went to the shopping center and went and did a shopping. So it was quite interesting. And also it works well with kids, and that's what I love about this one. The kids really surprised me how much that we don't realize that their body is experiencing, and even the birth procedure can be part of that. And I've actually worked with a lot of kids, but the best part is we don't work with the kid. We just actually work with the parent. So the kid doesn't even have to be involved. They could be at school or anywhere else. And the best part is that through the parent, we're working on the child, and then the parent gets to see the changes in the child, whether it be learning difficulties, social behavior, all those sorts of things there we can actually target to help as well.
That's good. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. We sincerely appreciate it. We're so glad that we have people like you out there helping a lot of people. And
I'm blessed to be a part of the change. It's amazing.
All right. Well, thanks so much. And Nicola and I want to say good night, everybody. Have a great evening. Take care. And we both hope to see you soon. Take care.
Shall
Bye-bye.
do. Bye bye.
Bye.